And then they saw me in a bra, and that was it.
What's going on, Pearl Jam nerds? You are listening to Single Podcast Theory. I'm Brad Lyons, hanging out with fucking Mr. Gigglebox Brad Blazek.
I'm Brad Blazek.
Oh, man.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. It is 5 o'clock Monday night.
Yes.
And we're just having time to... Oh, my God. I'm excited about it, though. I'm not, bummed about doing the show or anything. It's just... been quite the week.
Yeah, the people listening might want to listen to this at the 0.5x speed, because we're going to be like, all right, Mother Love Bone, this is what I like about him, this is what I don't like about him. You know, when they first came out, 1989, because we got to get this
is
done.
One of those episodes where it's 5:10 right now, and I have to leave for a co-write at 6:30. So, apologize if you feel gypped on the length of this one, but we got to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
I think last week's was kind of short too. So
yeah, it's nice to have some short ones every once in a while. I feel like
yeah.
You know, you can't have a fucking opus every time.
I mean, yeah, it's. I
mean, so far that's what we've done. We've got a perfect record.
4 hour Wrigley.
Right. Yeah. Then there's that. How you been this week though?
Oh man, you know what I got in the mail this week?
What'd you get in the mail this week?
My ticket to Metallica in Birmingham.
Hell yeah, man! God, I
so
wish I was
I'm
going.
fucking excited.
I still might be able to figure it out.
Yeah, dude, I hope you can. I hope you can make it out.
I mean, if nothing else,
that'd be cool.
We're gonna get to see each other. I'm gonna get to see Clint and Ethan. It's gonna be cool, man.
Yeah, and I told I'm gonna give a shout out to Barker.
Yeah, man,
because he's still waiting on his T-shirt.
Yeah,
and
which is all my fault.
I wrote him an email, but I'm just going to let everybody know, if you haven't gotten your shirt yet, it'll be coming. Brad Lyons is a very busy person, and
I seriously have tried. I've made it to the post office only to sit in a line longer than the amount of time that I have to go send the shirts. Because a half of them are overseas, and that you can't just here you go. They've got to read off all the information of the form that you already filled out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not making excuses. I'm sincerely apologizing.
I'm letting people know.
You guys can see me online if you'd like to.
Just be a little more patient, because I'll be out of town all next week because of Metallica. But me and you're gonna meet up. You're gonna give me the shirts.
I'm getting rid of all the shirts.
And then when I get back home, I've got more time and resources to get that stuff shipped out than you do. And I mean, today proves it. This show not coming out for a day and a half. Is because you are just extremely busy. You know?
Yeah, and I don't mean that in oh man, I've got so much going on right now. It's right. I'm a cool guy. No, I'm just because I'm going out of town soon, and it seems like everyone wanted to book me before I went out of town, and so I'm just getting slammed with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, when you sent me that text yesterday of okay, from 8 to 9 I have to do this, and then 9 to 10 I have to do this, and then 11 to 12 we'll do the first half of the show. Then I've got to do this for 3 hours. Then I'll come back and we'll do Mother Love Bone topic section. And then I've got
another session,
a writing session. And then I got rehearsal. Then I might get home by 11 or 12. So let people know the show is going to be an hour or two late. And I'm
that's my problem, dude. I try and pack it all in.
Yeah, I know. I was let's give you some time to rest and try and do it tomorrow. Hopefully people will understand. And now it's it's probably gonna be Tuesday morning
for some people, depending on your time zone.
Yeah.
No, but as soon as I do this co-write tonight, I'm going to get down to editing and mixing and putting it up there. But yeah, thanks to everyone for being patient. I had to take my 10-year-old son's advice not for the first time, but I was like, all right, man, I'm going to try and come home and see you for a little bit between 5 and 6 or something stupid like that. He just looked at me. He was like, why don't you just put out the podcast a day or two late? They like listening to your show. I think they'll wait. And I was like, you know what? You're right. You are right. Yeah. Thanks, Aiden.
He's a good kid, dude. He's like, I always think he is like 15 or 16. You know what I mean? Like, because he just seems, he's a little kid, but he seems like more mature in some instances, and just like that. Yeah. And I'm like, he's just turned like 10, right?
Yeah.
Or 9? Yeah.
10.
So I'm like, yeah.
It's cool, man. I hope that stays. I don't think now, all that said, he is a great kid, but man, can he be an asshole. Oh my God. I want to murder him sometimes. Ugh. I just have to be real about it, man, because a lot of other people that listen have kids too, and I don't want it to sound like, oh my God, my stepson is such an angel. And he is. Like 10%, 90% of the time, but that 10% is loud.
Yeah.
Oh God, it makes you forget about the other 90.
I like coming over to your house, and he is like like every other 10-year-old boy, where he's like, there's friends in the house, so I can act a little bit extra.
Yep.
And like you guys get so frustrated with them, and I'm like the cool uncle. Like I just like love it, and I just like laugh in your face.
Yeah. Because he's like all kids. He has these phases where he has one annoying thing, right? And he just kind of cycles through these different things. It's like, oh, okay, so we're done with the other one now. Now you've moved to this,
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know why he talks like this. He'll walk down the hall and be like, "Hey, Brad, can I have another snack before bed?" I'm like, Aiden, but he does. I'm doing it kind of quiet. He does it really loudly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, Aiden, please don't talk that way, man. Why? You don't like it? And to the point where you start getting angry,
right?
And you're like, if you don't stop, you are grounded. He's like, okay. And you're like, oh, you son of a bitch. You just keep doing it. You keep poking the bear. But I had to learn as a parent, like, that is not a battle that's important to win. So,
right. Yeah.
This will probably last about 6 months, and then it'll be something else. Yeah, the voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably move on.
Yes.
Real quick, do some housekeeping. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at singlepodcasttheory@gmail.com. Hit us up on all the socials. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com, patreon.com/singlepodcasttheory. All that information is there. Moving on. Were you ready to get into some Pearl Jam story time?
Yes.
Good evening. This is Storytellers. We are here to tell stories.
We just have friends up here that are listening to stories.
Have I got a little story for you?
This is the true story.
Yeah. What did I say?
Earlier? Oh, yeah. You're the fucking Kool-Aid guy. Busting through the wall. I was like, Brad B. I was like, Brad, are you ready to go? And he goes, oh, yeah. And it's because he turned his light on.
Yeah. I cleaned the studio, and it looks like cool in here. And then I turned the light on, and that combined with I am super hyped up because I've been waiting to do this for 2 days, or I guess a day and a half. and I know we got to get it done.
Yeah.
So I'm just like fucking flying right now.
Yeah, you are, dude. God, you're just high on life, bro. Man.
I got my Metallica week is coming up.
Well, don't let me harsh your mellow, bro.
I only got to work 3 days this week.
Oh, man, I bet you're like a senior at the last week of school right now.
Yeah. Class of '93.
Yeah, bro. Forever. What was your senior prank, man? What'd you guys do?
Dude, I wasn't in that group of people.
Oh.
I wasn't one of the cool kids.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, people in my grade did stuff, but I didn't do that.
Anyway. I remember the first day of senior year, we had the first week, we had some kind of pep rally thing, and I was just like, oh man, like this is it. This is my last year here, and like I got real like introspective and like nostalgic, even though I fucking hated school, hated it.
Yeah.
But then, like, a week later, I was like, fuck this place. I can't fucking wait to get done. I hate this.
Yeah, man. I get that.
All right, what do you got?
All right, here we go. Yeah. What were we doing again?
Yeah.
We're not short on time.
No.
Let's just talk about bullshit for the next hour and a half.
City.
All right. Pearl Jam story time. Here we go. This week comes to us from Gregg Matthews. He says, "Hey guys, have I got a little story for you?" That was the subject. What'd you say?
Gregg.
No, it's Greg. 2 G's does not equal to...
He's from Australia, though.
Gregg
Matthews. They don't... I'm telling you, they don't pronounce vowels.
Yeah, I agree, but it's not Eeg. It's not Gregg.
All right. It might be.
Maybe it is. All right, here we go. He says, "Hey guys, first of all, just wanted to say how awesome it is that you guys are doing these podcasts. I drive a lot for my job, and getting to kill time on the road by listening to you guys is the best. So thank you. You're welcome." So I remember it like it was yesterday, the first time I heard Pearl Jam. Excuse me. I was in the library at college, year 11, around 95, and a mate of mine was listening to his cassette Walkman. So I said to him out of interest, "What you listening to?" He says, "Pearl Jam. Want to listen?" Casually, I say, "Sure." Right then, my life changed forever. The song playing as I took over the headphones was alive. I reckon I must have played and rewound that song a dozen times. My mate let me borrow the tape, and I got it copied. And the journey had begun. So, discovered that by the time they had already had 3 albums out, and promptly... Wait a minute, what just happened? Did I read that wrong? So, discovered that by this time... Oh, gotcha. No punctuation. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, discovered that by this time they had already 3 albums out and promptly purchased 10. Then, when I had saved enough money, Versus and then Vitology. I also remember watching the film clip to Jeremy for the first time, and it was the most provocative and intriguing clips I have seen. I needed to find out what it was all about, and was shocked to find out the story behind the song. Guns are illegal in the land of Oz, so the thought of a kid getting a hold of a pistol and shooting himself in front of the classmates was just totally mind-blowing, and I felt quite sad for this kid. Yeah, I think that does. I think the gravity of what that is all about, and that it's like real, it gets lost sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. I feel like sometimes people will forget that it's a real thing and not just like some made up narrative for a song. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, it's based on like an actual kid out there.
It can just show you how desensitized we can get to stuff like that, you know? He says, anyways, I've been lucky enough to see Pearl Jam 5 times over the years, but the show that stands out for me is when they toured the Avocado album in Australia in 2006. They were touring the 5 major capital cities, and at the same time I was living in Newcastle, which is about an hour or so drive north of Sydney. Newey is not a small city. I believe it's the biggest non-capital city in Australia. While they weren't coming to Newey, 4 or so Newcastle uni students decided to start a petition in the hope of getting Pearl Jam to town. They must have got thousands of signatures and sent the petition off to Pearl Jam HQ. I guess the news of this petition got to Eddie and the band, and Eddie, being a keen surfer and friends with world champion surfer Mike Richards, who at the time and maybe still lives in Newey and has a surf shop. This and the thousands of signatures was enough to twist the band's arms to play a one-off show at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre in between the Brisbane and Sydney shows. They let Mark Richards pick the entire set list for the show, and the opening track was Alive, which totally blew the roof off this joint. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever heard this story. I didn't know that this happened.
Oh, it's nuts, dude.
That's
I was
getting to see Alive as an opener.
Yeah,
Fucking weird and awesome.
it's a crazy. Yeah, I remember reading this when it came in a few months ago and looking at the set list, and it's nuts.
Wow, that's cool.
It's really cool.
Let's see here. About halfway through the set, Eddie read out the guys' names and got a spotlight on them and asked them to stand up and get the whole crowd gave these legends a round of applause. I thought this was such an awesome gesture and acknowledgement from the band and crowd. Such an amazing show. Anyway, that's my story, and keep up the awesome work, B&B. Loving what you do. Gregg in Melbourne, Australia.
Yes.
I love it too. At first, I forgot that this was a story. This is from September.
Right.
And I saw the PS at the time, which was, have you guys done the Yield episode yet? I can't find it. I was like, oh shit, is our Yield episode down? And I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, story time.
Yeah, man. Well, Greg, thanks for writing in, dude.
Yeah, the set list is just nuts. I mean,
yeah, I want to look that up.
Alone, Down, Footsteps, and Undone from Lost Dogs.
Wow.
They only did Even Flow and Alive from 10. Like, no Jeremy.
No shit.
No. Yeah, just that was it. Those
Man,
two
I want to
songs,
see
and
one
that
of
was
those
it.
weird shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I want to see any show, but you know what I mean? It'd be cool to.
Yeah.
Now that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
gotten to see, I got to see Wrigley, 2 nights.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to go again, but I'd love to find some weird benefit show or something like that to go to.
Yeah. Dude, Crown of Thorns, fucking up, Masters of War. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. That's killer, man.
Just a crazy show. But, yeah.
Well, man, thanks so much,
Greg.
Greg. Appreciate it. All right, who you have next?
All right. Who do I have next? We kind of messed up.
You
Is
got
it
Adrian. Yep.
Adrian. Okay.
Or Adrienne. I don't know which it is.
Adrienne. Hey, yo.
Oh, I knew it.
Sorry.
I knew it.
I go for the, just the easiest first thing that comes to the
Go
top
for
of
the
my
dad
head.
joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Adrienne.
Yeah.
Adrian. Isn't there an Adrian in The Godfather?
I'm not letting you go down this road. You're gonna read this poor person's email.
The Pearl Jam Storytime email episode, and that's it today.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Brads. I never thought I would listen to a podcast until I met Matt and Randy from Live on Four Legs and decided to give it a try. I finally got caught up on their shows, and while I was waiting for the next episode to come out, I decided to come over to SPT and see what you had to offer. I thought, how many Pearl Jam podcasts can you have? But the two shows have such a different focus, and now I am a podcast junkie. I listen at work every day. I'm working my way through your episodes and just finished the Jeremy episode. Every time I listen to you or Live on Four Legs, I'm busy making lists of songs or videos I want to hear or boots I need to check out. No Jeremy was new to me. I learned something new with every show, so thank you for that. Thanks again for helping to fill my days with Pearl Jam. I'm headed over to the Porch Podcast next. Much love, Adrian Peterson, Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yeah, man. It's so cool. There's, multiple Pearl Jam podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to take a trip, and I haven't gotten to listen to any of them yet. And I'm gonna listen. Right. I'm gonna listen on the trip, on the flight.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know. Pearl Jam Porch Podcast just dropped their newest episode. I can't remember what song it is. It is. She's right though. Like, we are different from the other two, main Pearl Jam podcasts.
Right.
Matt and Randy do a specific concert every show.
Yeah.
and the Porch podcast, they do, a song, kind of like what we do every once in a while, but that's like their main focus is one song.
Yeah, that's
every
cool.
episode.
Yeah, man.
So, but it's all good, and I'm glad, people are kind of like crossing over to all of us.
Yeah, we should find a way to do some big meetup.
Yeah,
like a
dude.
Pearl Jam podcast meetup.
Palooza.
You know what I mean? That'd be so
Pearl
cool.
Jam Pod Palooza.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that would be-
God, you're
yeah.
good. Why didn't you
Oh,
go into
dude.
marketing?
Pearl Jam is rumored to be playing at the new Woodstock Festival in
really?
August. Yeah.
Let's
So,
go. No, thanks.
Well, we should. Yeah.
Going to a fucking festival. Are you crazy?
No. Yeah. No,
I have a
I don't want to go to a
responsibility.
festival.
Let's see. Yeah, and just for our listeners that don't know, there are 2 other Pearl Jam podcasts, as we mentioned, and just again, the names are Live on 4 Legs and The Porch, right?
Which I think I'm going to be on next month, maybe.
Ooh,
I don't
look
know.
at you on The
Yeah.
Porch, huh?
No.
On Live on 4 Legs. Cool. Right
Yeah.
on, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, Adrian. Appreciate it. All right. Who we have next? Oh, our buddy
Our favorite.
John. Let's see here. Wait, which one am I? Oh, there we go. I got it. This is about Given to Fly. This is Given to Brads. Jeremy, hail, hail, and now Given to Fly.
TWO.
Huh?
Sorry. Given TWO.
Yes,
Brads.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Thanks for the explanation. What'd you do? Did you just spill something?
No, I stood on Kate's vinyls.
Ooh.
Oops.
Why'd you say that on the mic? God. Dumb.
They're good. They're fine.
They're fine. I just cracked them. Let's see here. He says, Jeremy, hail, hail, now Given to Fly. I'm still waiting on that pendulomorphosis episode. I've been going back and forth with Randy from Live on 4 Legs. He hates the live version of this song for reasons I'll never understand. It's become a pillar of the live set for a good reason. It can open a show like it did last year, transition from the fast set to the mid-tempo set, and into set, or fit into any encore. He is right about that. We already talked about my personal experience with the song and how Ed came and sang it right at me in 2016, so I won't get into that. But there's a reason they play it at 99% of the shows. When the inevitable career retrospective comes out after all is said and done, Given to Fly deserves to be there with the live, Black, Better Man, etc. And then he'll say, guess what, man? I'm in California when you're here in Birmingham, dude. Sorry,
Yeah.
John. That sucks.
Yeah, and I'll be back in Nashville by that Friday he's talking
will?
about. So,
Man.
yeah. I'm just going to be in Birmingham for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like I'm coming down that afternoon, hitting the show, and then we're driving back to Nashville that night.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's
the night of the show?
22nd. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you guys are doing it to it. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. Sorry I'm missing you, John, but hopefully we can make that happen again. He says, if I hear Brad B try to compare Fish to Nirvana again, there will be blood. Amen, brother. I love it. Shut the fuck up, Blazing.
Yeah. I need to listen to Fish. I think it was Ruben, our buddy Ruben, reached out and said he was going to send me a short playlist of Fish tunes to check out. Because I don't think I've ever listened to them. Maybe once, just but I just have it in my head that they're like stoner jam band, and that's just not my thing.
They are.
But
That's exactly what they are.
I'll-
But they're
I'll
just
check 'em
like
out.
really good musicians that do that.
yeah. But I'm into that, so I might,
You definitely need to get
I
introduced
need to
the right
ch-
way, though,
check-
because you're one of those people that
Yeah.
if it's the wrong song to start you off with,
Yeah,
you're
that's
like, nope,
true.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So, all right. Last email. We've got Brad Harris.
Yeah. Brad Harris.
Brad. My head just exploded. Hey, Brads. Loved your episode on Given to Fly. One of my absolute favorite tracks. Oh, wait a minute. That's not mine to read. Woo!
You're doing good, man.
Man, no, you go for it. I hate reading
All
out
right.
loud.
No, I was just going to let you go. Hey, Brads. Loved your episode on Given to Fly. That sounds so familiar. One of my absolute favorite tracks. I recently bought Yield on vinyl, so have been spinning it lots. You know what? Can we go back to John Farrar real quick?
Sure.
I was just going to say, like, I love Given to Fly live. I don't know why Randy hates it. I mean, I've heard him talk about it, but I just don't get it either. You know?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's way faster than the album version, and we got a lot of comments about the thing that you put together, and I should thank you. Yeah. Because that was fucking awesome. The way you put the three versions together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like someone's like turning up the
tempo.
Like the RPM. Yeah.
BPM.
Well, you know, on a record player.
Oh, gotcha.
You could like change the yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry I cut off Brad Harris.
No.
But okay, I recently bought Yield on vinyl, so have been spinning it lots. I also, for interest's sake, watched it on Single Video Theory. I totally agree with your comments around Jack's drumming. The album version is almost tribal, with similarities to In My Tree. Watching some early versions of Matt Cameron in '98, his performance of this song has changed considerably. God, considerably. Looking on YouTube, did I get it? Looking on
Just trying to give you some positive reinforcement, bud.
Thank you. Looking on YouTube, his early renditions are very similar to the original. Fast forward to the Hall of Fame performance, and it has really evolved with the increase in pace, just like Even Flow, which could also do with a dose of Valium or 3 nowadays. While I love the original, I love the live version we get now. It has a real energy about it. I don't think it's purely a Matt decision on the speed. I'm sure the other lads would tell him off if they didn't like it. Thanks again. Love your work, gents. Brad Harris. Oh, this is Braid Harris. Harris from Australia.
Yeah. Yep.
Braid. Good day, mates.
Our resident Australian here, Brad B. I was gonna. Oh, and I think he was saying. I don't think he was watching some early version. I think he's literally talking about the Matt Cam, like not short for Matt Cameron.
I wasn't sure about that.
I could be wrong, but there are those, a lot of like Matt Cameron, Matt Cam shit up on bonus features and YouTube and shit like that. But I don't know, man. I think it's just the way it's evolved and they play it now as far as the speed.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, when I'm there at the show, like I didn't give a fuck how fast they were playing it.
Yeah.
I was just like so happy to be there and that I got that song and I got it as an opener, which to me is kind of strange, And not that they've ever done it before, but it's not that common.
Right.
But that's my whole boot thing, though, is like I don't like listening to it just on a bootleg, though.
Yeah.
I'd rather just listen to the record version. But I think I've said that 50 times before. Mm-hmm. I'm done with the tempo argument. Done.
Yeah.
Done, I say.
Are you done?
I'm done. Thanks, Brad Harris. That's right. I'm the professional one of the two that's going to give our fans the respect they deserve and pronounce their names the right way. Unlike some other hosts that I know.
You mean Braid Hair Eyes?
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Thanks, everybody, for your emails. Appreciate it. Again, if you want to email us, singlepodcasttheory@gmail.com or hit us up on the socials. All right.
Twitter.
Yep, that's part of the socials.
Instagram.
Yep.
Facebook.
I think everyone knows what socials mean.
YouTube.
Do you think there's anyone out there that's listening to a podcast and doesn't know what socials mean?
I mean,
you're right. You're being professional. You're right.
Every podcast is someone's first.
Do you have that? That's like an inspirational poster up on your wall, isn't it?
That's
you stare at it. You put it right in front of you. Stare at that while we record every episode.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right, let's get into Mother Love Bone.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have time for your bullshit right now, Brad. Just kidding. But seriously,
Whose
I don't.
fault is that?
Oh, no. You see, you think that, like, I never have time for your bullshit, Brad. This is no different.
Even if you have free time.
Oh, yeah,
that is
I
not
still don't have time for your bullshit.
my bullshit.
Oh, no.
Okay. Oh.
I'm just kidding, Brad. Nothing in regards to you is bullshit, number one. And number two, if that's what you want to call it, I got all the time in the world.
Oh, all right.
Which means about 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Shit. I'm lucky if I get one text a week.
It's been pretty sparse lately, man.
Yeah.
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 I appreciate you continuing to send me memes and stuff, though. I like it.
Yeah. Was that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent you a couple good ones today.
Oh, I don't know if I remember anything for today. I've been working on. I haven't really looked at my phone that much. Okay, can we please move on?
Sure. Yes. Yes.
What would you do if I really do start crying? Just
Start crying?
Just start
Oh, man.
bawling. I'm nowhere near that happening, but that would be super. God, I wonder how you would handle
God.
that.
That means you are right on the verge.
No, I'm not. I'm totally not. I'm good, man. This is a good kind of busy.
I could tell. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. Good.
Ain't no complaints here, man.
Yeah.
All right, try number 3.
Making that long paper.
Yeah, well, the problem is I'm still broke. All right, Mother Love Bone.
Wait, real quick. When I was, like a teenager, like right out of high school, I worked at Motorola putting together cell phones. And one of the other guys, he was talking about that he worked somewhere else. And he kept saying like, "Oh, I used to make that long paper. And I
don't know what that means.
I didn't either. I do now, but I was like, "Are you talking about like you worked at a paper factory, like making like those big reams of paper?"
Okay, so you didn't even get that it was like a reference to cash or money.
No.
You
no,
literally
not-
meant like, what are you? What are you talking 8 by 17 instead of 8.5 by 11? What? Oh, I love how literal you went with that.
It felt
Jesus.
so dumb. All
That's so
Mother
dumb. It
Love
might
Bone.
be brilliant.
No,
Nope,
it's
just dumb.
not. No, just dumb.
Okay, now try number 4. Mother Love Bone.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is not this is not going to be a documentary about everything about Mother Love Bone, but it is one of those things where I think sometimes it gets lost on, we do a Pearl Jam podcast, and there would be no Pearl Jam without Mother Love Bone.
Right.
And unfortunately, no Pearl Jam without Mother Love Bone falling apart because of the untimely death of Andy Wood, the lead singer. I don't know. I just think they are such an important band in the story of Pearl Jam.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you? I know we've talked about it before, but I can't. Before we kind of really jump in, were you at all a fan? I would say that you weren't.
I was not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And not for lack of like, not because I didn't like them, but just it wasn't like available to me,
Yeah. No,
until.
Well, shit, I'd never heard of. I mean, I didn't find out about them until I was diving in deep with Pearl Jam, and that's the only reason why I'd heard of them. I don't think that I'd heard of them before.
I think I had heard of them, but just like maybe like in a magazine, like a Guitar World magazine, where they just, or maybe Rolling Stone, where they just mentioned it in passing.
Okay,
And, I was like 16. And I was like, Mother Love Bone, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, I hate the name.
I do too.
It sounds like
I hate it.
Like it should be a name of a band and like, a mockumentary of some sort.
Like Citizen Dick.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
You
but
know
it's
what I mean?
real.
Really, it's like Mother, like Love Bone. Like, is that like a your mother joke? Like your mother loves my bone? You know what I mean? It's just like, what does it mean?
I never, ever ever want to hear you utter that phrase again. My soul just went dark and sad.
I'm sorry. But
My inner child is in the fetal position on the floor crying.
that was the 16-year-old teenage boy in me. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So
I just don't want to hear
it's
you
just-
say those words. Your mother loves my bone? Is that what you said? God.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just, yeah. So I kind of put them out of my mind and didn't really ever hear them again. And then, you know, you hear...
Yo! Hey! Hey! Your mother loves my bone! Sorry, I couldn't help it.
That's what I mean. It sounds like a fake name.
I
It
know.
doesn't even... It just, yeah.
God, I love it when you laugh so hard you can't talk. I love it even more when you laugh so hard you're silent. That's when I really know I've got you good. Maybe
Yeah.
just a little bit of wheeze in there.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's how you know it's real.
Exactly. Okay, move on.
So
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was not into them. Except, you know, you hear Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns on the single soundtrack,
Right.
you know? And I'm like, that's a pretty good song, you know? But
Yeah.
just in those days, not really having access to that album, they just kind of fell in between the cracks, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I think for me, you know, I fell in love with Pearl Jam, so I automatically just like found every article or interview or anything that I could find, and that's when, you know, you come across Mother Love Bone when you get into the history or how this band got together and all that kind of stuff. I think it was the same as what you're talking about. It was just like a kind of like a mention, you know, Jeff and Stone coming from, you know, Mother Love Bone, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, I have to look that up. And at that time, for me, it wasn't that I didn't like it, but it definitely represented more of what I was not wanting to listen to anymore. It was a little too still like glammy. And for me, like Pearl Jam was one of the bands that like marked the end of that for me. And I was happy about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I still thought they were really good, and I totally got it. And it's way easier for me to listen to it and appreciate it now than I could, I think, when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we've talked about like streaming and, you know, how it's better to go out and buy a physical vinyl. But one thing I love about like Apple Music, there are so many bands that I've heard of but never like listened to.
Yeah.
That now that I have this service, I can go and listen to this shit that I've always heard of but never listened to. Mm-hmm. You know? Like The Clash. I never listened to The Clash. I know like 2 songs by them, and I kind of hate both of them. They're like 2 biggest like radio hits. I hate them. But I've always heard The Clash. Like everyone loves The Clash. And Eddie's a huge Clash fan, and like, you know, people that I know and respect are big Clash fans. Mm-hmm. And so like now I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and listen to The Clash. And I'm like, they're kind of good. Like I like,
sure,
you know, the couple of albums that I've listened to all the way through. And I'm like, this sounds so much different than the 2 like radio hits. Like that Rock the Casbah song. I fucking hate that song so much. But like they're like their first couple albums don't even sound like that.
No. But yeah, like something like Rock the Casbah is like, it's become, that does not represent.
No, not at all. But what I'm getting at is like Mother Love Bone. Like I heard Chloe Dancer, I liked it, and like when YouTube was kind of like becoming a thing, like you could check out other songs by Mother Love Bone. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't listen to the whole thing, and it's like I had to be in front of a computer. But now that it's like I can listen to, you know, Apple Music on my phone whenever I want, I've been able to go back and like listen to Apple, like the album that's called Apple,
Right.
and listen to the whole thing, and listen to the Shine EP. Like really sit and listen to it, and see, why people were kind of nuts for this band when they first started out. You know, and why people continue to talk about them, even though they're not a band anymore.
Right.
And I don't know. I think that's really cool. Like Spotify and Apple Music and these things are. It's kind of cool to be able to go back and have access to all this music.
Yeah, it is good, almost like for history. But it's terrible for the artists, I think, at the end of the day. But I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, for me, I use Apple Music as a almost like I used to use the listening stations at like a tower. Yeah, like I'll check it out, and if it's something like, oh, I'm gonna listen to that, like this is something that I'm gonna use. You know what I mean? Then I buy it on vinyl, and I try and order it from that person's website, not from like a distributor or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. To make sure they are actually getting money for the physical product. Because that's, and not just like a fraction of a penny because I listened to the song a few times. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Andy, well, why don't we do this? We've kind of had this little general conversation. Why don't you hit us with some basic facts?
Yeah, just for, I think most people probably know all this stuff, but there's probably, like I said, this could be someone's first podcast. So I'm just going to go over some, like, the main hits of, like, their history. So 1987, Green River, that band breaks up, and Jeff and Stone and Bruce Fairweather from that band get together with Andy Wood and Greg Gilmore on drums, and, they start Mother Love Bone, and in March of '89 they released the Shine EP, which it's weird. It's listed as 4 songs, but the 4th song is Chloe Dancer / Crown of Thorns, which is, I guess it was a mistake. It was supposed to be split up into two separate songs, but they just put them together as one track. But technically, I guess it's supposed to be 2 separate songs. Okay. But anyway, it goes together like so perfectly.
Hey guys,
those 2 songs. Yeah. And then later that year, like late 89, 90, is when they get together and record their first album called Apple. And that is supposed to come out in March of 90, but Andy Wood tragically, passes away from a heroin overdose. Yeah. Like 2 or 3 days before the album was supposed to drop. So they pushed it back to July of 1990, and that's when it was released.
So crazy.
So, but yeah, I mean, Andy passed away. They basically broke up. And, that's when, again, this might be stuff everyone knows, but in case you don't know, that's when, Chris Cornell was roommates with Andy. He was on tour at the time overseas. He came back and, recorded or wrote these songs for Temple of the Dog, and got with Jeff and Stone, and they put out the Temple of the Dog album. Right. And then after that, Pearl Jam happened, and, the rest is history.
Hell yeah. What do you think? So they were. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this episode is like they were such a short-lived band that there's not like tons of archival stuff that's easy to find about them or whatever. So a lot of this is just like, for me, when I think about Mother Love Bone, it's more about like speculation because they were. This wasn't just some band that Jeff and Stone happened to be in before they ended up in Pearl Jam. Like, this band was poised to be, a really big band.
And there was definitely a lot of buzz, around this band, and when the Shine EP came out, and the fact that they, the Apple was in the, I don't know how you say it, like in the can, like it was about to come out. Yeah. So everyone like up there in Seattle knew, like, oh, this thing is about to happen, and these guys are about to happen, and then it just, it all just died with Andy. And yeah, there was a lot of potential for this band to do something.
Yeah, it's just weird how, I don't know. I would speculate that, well, and I guess Stone and Jeff, that's not speculation as far as that. Talk about not only, let's try and separate that one of your best friends and bandmates has just died. Like, all the work you feel like you've put up, and you're about to find out if it all paid off, and then on top of losing one of your best friends, your career is in the tubes because of it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're not just dealing with the grief of losing someone. You're like, what the fuck am I what am I gonna do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I going back to washing dishes, in the back of a restaurant? Or...
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but like, I've had one of my best friends was killed a few years ago.
Right.
And that was hard enough to deal with. But a few days later, I went back to work and kept working. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I couldn't imagine if, like, me and him were, like, business partners and, like, the company died with him. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what it's like.
Sure.
And it's like you're getting hit twice with it,
It just must have been so... there's not even... That's why I think human language just doesn't do the job. It's like... discouraging is not, bold enough of a word to describe how they probably felt.
Yeah.
I think that would have been, because I've quote unquote tried to quit music, and not even because of a death or anything that intense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That must have been like a super tough period on many different levels, but I do love how they were kind of the springboard to this band, Mother Love Bone, through the friendship of Andy and Chris. And we don't have to go into too much of it, but Andy and Chris Cornell being roommates, and that being the introduction to all these people that ended up becoming Temple of the Dog and Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden was already a thing. I don't know. It just feels like Mother Love Bone was a huge springboard to all these people meeting.
Yeah.
And all these people are still really important to each other even 30 years later,
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I was reading about is Mother Love Bone was one of the first bands of all those Seattle bands to get signed to a major label.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Soundgarden was first, and then Mother Love Bone like a month later, or it might have been vice versa, something like that.
Right.
But they were like one of the first ones of all those guys to get signed, and you know better than me, but that's like a big deal,
Back then it was, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny too because they aren't a grunge band. I do not consider them grunge at all. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I was going to say. They are... It's weird when you listen, like, I can hear a little bit of Pearl Jam in there. Like,
because of Stone and Jeff's playing,
because
and writing.
Of Stone and Jeff, yeah. But man, Andy is so like glammed out and Guns N' Roses-y.
Oh yeah,
kind of Poison-y.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the silliness of Andy. Like Guns N' Roses, Axl is pretty serious about being dirty rock and roll. Andy is not. Excuse me. Andy was not like dirty rock and roll. He was more like sleazy and fun.
Yeah, he was kind of like that flamboyant, like real.
Yeah.
That friend that you're like, I don't care either way, but is he a little bit gay? Right. You know what I mean? Like he was just so. What's the word for it? It's flamboyant, and it's also.
Yeah.
He was so kind of like he was, like everything was a theater. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah,
his personality
totally.
was just always on show. It feels like.
Yeah.
And no human
Yeah.
can keep that up. But I'm sure that's the special part of like him and Chris's relationship because they actually live together and they're more regular human beings maybe when they're at home. But it just seems like he just had this beaming personality that just you can just picture him in the type of stuff that he wore.
Well, I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you a couple things from Facebook that people, because I had posted on here that we were doing our next episode on Mother Love Bone,
Right.
but it was going to be out a little bit late. So, but I want to read these comments because this brings up an interesting point, and it gets back to what you're talking about with Andy. Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
Danny B said, I think Mother Love Bone would have grown and gotten better, but they would not have achieved what Pearl Jam has. First and foremost, Andy, rest in peace, is no Eddie Vedder. I totally agree with that.
But
Aurelian.
go ahead.
What's that?
Nothing. I was going to say something about that, but go ahead.
Aurelian, our buddy Aurelian said,
Yeah.
Stardog Champion and Crown of Thorns are awesome, but I'm not a big fan of the remaining songs. In my opinion, they tried to sound like Guns N' Roses, but failed. Alice in Chains' first EP and first album that came out during the same era were more relevant. Looking forward to your thoughts. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Aurelian. Leah Folger says, Mother Love Bone opinion. I was turned on to Mother Love Bone before Andy died, and I loved it. I was coming out of the 80s punk rock and Sabbath influenced. Just like most of the 80s hair band crap. In the San Francisco Bay Area, music was good. Mother Love Bone has great grooves, but lacks that face-melting lead. I loved Mother Love Bone in their heyday. Nostalgia, I'm old.
Right on.
And this is kind of going back, and I agree, especially with Aurelian and Danny B, that they were a good blend of like alt rock, alternative rock, not really grunge, but
No.
like alternative rock and glam metal, however you want to call it, hairband music. Like, cause like we said, Andy was so like flamboyant, and he did look like Axl if Axl was having a great time. You know what I mean? Like, not so serious,
Right.
And
I also see a little
Leah,
Shannon Hoon in there, but
yeah,
just a little bit.
I think what Leah is saying though is like she knew about them before Andy passed away, so I think that makes a huge difference. Like, because me and you are coming from like huge Pearl Jam fans, and we know a tiny bit about them.
Right.
But I think if you were there at the time and you saw them, like, you would get it more than me and you do 25 years later.
Yeah, totally.
And what I'm getting at with that is I wanted to see like some live stuff, because I've always, Pearl Jam 20, they talk about how flamboyant Andy was on stage.
He
and
was a real showman, yeah.
Yeah, like he could be in a club, but he was acting like he was at MSG, So I looked up, I just went into YouTube and Google or whatever, like searched Mother Love Bone live, and one of the first things that came up was them playing this like tiny club, I think in Seattle. And they're playing Half-Ass Monkey Boy, which is like that right there. Like, that tells you like, okay, these guys are kind of fun to have a title like that. And dude, the song is just like kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like funky, just a fun fucking song. But like seeing Andy performing that song, like, I'm like, I am in love. Like, I love these guys. I love this guy. Like, the whole thing about, like, he's in a tiny club, but he's acting like he's in a arena.
Right.
Like, it totally clicks when you see him. Like, he has got the moves. He's, like, running around. He's, like, doing the, like, whipping his long hair in front of him like a hairband guy would. You know what I mean? And it's like... I get it. Like, I get it now, like,
sure.
I don't love his voice. Like most of that like hair band music, that real high pitched kind of sound, he's got that, and I don't love that voice. But man, seeing him perform, like something just clicked. Like oh, I get it now. You know?
Well, he's just that personality. Like I'm jealous of people like him because I'm just now kind of figuring this out for myself, just as a human being, even. But it does apply to, I guess, art and music and being creative or whatever. But he's just so not afraid to just be him, and he's a little weird. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. Everybody is a little weird. Yeah. And it ends up my favorite people are the people that aren't afraid to be a little bit weird. I love those people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just love seeing he's got such a. Maybe this is a better way to sum up what I was trying to get to earlier. Is just like, and overall, he's just like a free spirit. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. And I think one of the things that does separate them from the kind of bullshit culture that they're surrounded by at that time, with the exception of bands like Guns and a couple others. But even Guns is like, I mean, you could look back at those lyrics. I'm like, oh my God. Like, these are some really rough, you know, like, especially as far as women and all that kind of shit. Yeah. But, yeah. I felt like Andy, what he was doing was not an act, though, as much as he is a showman. It's just him being him. And that I think that's what for all the faults I might be able to find with the band personally, just on a subjective level, I've always really respected him and felt like he was the real deal, though. Yeah. Even if it's not totally my thing, you know? Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why Temple the Dog, I don't know. Again, it goes back to like their potential, Mother Love Bone's potential. Right. Like, because if you look at Alice in Chains' first album and like Guns N' Roses pre Appetite for Destruction, they both of those bands had like a tinge of glam to them.
Oh yeah, and they kept it. I mean, Guns N' Roses, the kind of like the idea of it changed, but I mean, he's out there wearing fucking catcher's gear and like, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? And I love it. But it's like, what the fuck is that? Yeah. Why are you wearing spandex shorts?
Right.
And a catcher's
bike shorts. Yeah. Bike shorts and a Charlie Manson t-shirt.
Yeah, it's just like what the fuck, man? You are an alien. And, but so is Andy, and I feel like those people were like, those were real deal personalities, you know? Yeah.
But it's kind of cool when you look at it from like, okay, you had Mother Love Bone, which was like prototypical grunge music mixed with glam metal. And then you get Temple the Dog, which is not glam at all, but it's not Pearl Jam either. And then you get Pearl Jam. And it's like, you see that evolution just within like a year and a half of how, like, what happened to music, where it went from like glam hair bands to alternative to grunge, you know?
Right. Yeah, totally. Well, I always wonder too, on the speculation side, it's funny to me that, okay, so you've mentioned like what Alice in Chains' first stuff sounded like that came out around the same time, and how, you know, Chains stay, like, they were always Alice in Chains from track one of the first release to the last things we got for them with Lane part of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas you look at Stone and Jeff in this band at that time, and in hindsight, we know whether there was a Pearl Jam or not, the grunge thing was happening because of Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and all that stuff, right? Like, so if Andy hadn't died, I think that from a career standpoint, like, I think it's ironic to me that the type of music that killed Mother Love Bone's type of music, right? Meaning grunge. Yeah. But Stone and Jeff became a huge part of that only because Mother Love Bone was died because of Andy, but if he hadn't,
Yeah.
I think the grunge thing would have killed off their band. Did I explain that well?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But I mean, they only had the one album that came out, so
yeah, I wonder if they would have changed their deal.
Does a bunch of 10 songs morph into Mother Love Bone's second album?
Yeah,
and that would be
weird,
be crazy to try and think about what that would sound like.
Right.
You know, what those songs would sound like with a different drummer and a different singer.
Yeah, but because
we don't get any of the lyrics that are on 10, and that would be fucked up. Because Andy is, I mean, he's a silly motherfucker with most of these lyrics. Like, a lot of these lyrics are just goofy hairband silly stuff.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind too, though, that that Andy was kind of the main songwriter, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I need to go back and look at the credits, but yeah, like, here, let me see this real quick.
Because some of these songs on Apple, like, I get a Stone's 91 demo vibe from a few of them.
Let's see here. So Andy wrote all... Nope, I'm totally wrong. It is mainly, as far as the music. So it's the same thing. Right. It's mainly Stone and Jeff writing the music.
Okay.
Andy has 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks that are just his. But you got to keep in mind, that does include Crown of Thorns.
Right.
That's Stargazer.
Stargazer.
That's some of their big, quote unquote,
what's that
bigger
other
songs.
There's another like
Man of Golden Words.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Now, when you listen to Shangri-La, Stardog Champion, I mean, just because of the guitars and stuff, you know that's Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one in particular. Which one was it? Come Bite the Apple.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like Alone. It's got that like...
I'll have to go back and listen to that again.
Yeah, and there's another one... Bone China.
Yeah.
The intro kind of has like a Release vibe to it. It's got like a real mellow... it goes from real soft to... They come into the song, just like a Release does. But, yeah, dude, it just... I don't know. It's fun to think of what... Mother Love Bone's second album would sound like, because it would sound kind of like 10, but not lyrically at all.
Right.
And it would, I don't know, that would be a really cool, like, alternate universe where, we're getting 10 songs through Andy's band.
Right.
It'd
been interesting, man. I just think they would have, because remember the level of like hatred towards anything glam, like how quickly the world turned on that kind of 80s rock and roll.
Yeah, but do you think they would have evolved with all their friends?
It would have had
Stone.
It would have taken at least another record cycle.
You think so?
And I think the label would have been like, "Nope, this shit ain't cool anymore. No one wants to listen to this anymore."
Yeah.
And they would have dropped them.
Yeah.
I really think that would have happened.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't think those songs don't sound 100% glam to me. There's enough of Stone in there.
But it is so not grunge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the industry turned into, we just want grunge. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just coming from like the guy at the record label.
The business. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe they had a really good relationship with their A&R people that believed in them enough, because you did get stuff like that back then where it's like, okay, we're going to give them 2 or 3 albums, and if they haven't hit then we'll probably need to drop them, but let's give them a little bit of time. That was much more common then than now.
Yeah. I just feel like, maybe I'm weird, but like I mean,
you're weird.
I'm 2019, and I'm watching a fucking live video on YouTube from 1989, and like I get the magic of what that dude was doing on that stage.
Would you have seen that video? Would that matter? Would that have mattered at all if Stone and Jeff, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was.
Had not. Hold on a second. I'm about to sneeze.
I don't know,
I'm
dude.
so sorry. That's why I stopped. Okay, I stopped it. Where were we?
Would I have seen that video?
Right. If
like,
Stone and Jeff hadn't
with
gone
that-
on to have Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think anyone,
Yeah,
they would have just been done. You know how many bands like that? You know how many,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even take a death. Like, you know how many bands like,
But dude, I was into that music in 1989. I didn't get into Pearl Jam until like 92
okay.
when Even Flow hit. Not even, like when Jeremy hit. You know what I mean? So if Apple had came out and was a big, big deal, I might have been there might have been enough of a connection that I would have gotten into it. But I don't know. That's that's like the fun thing to think about. It
Sure.
is like an alternate universe kind of thing.
Parallel dimensions.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I've listened to Apple a bunch the last week or so because I knew we were getting to do this. And it does not hit me like the way 10 did. Like 10 is just like a perfect album. Like it's tight. Every song kind of sounds a little bit different. It's its own little story, each song.
Sure.
But like Apple, like, man, a lot of the songs sound real similar. But then you have like, Chloe Dancer, like, holy shit. Like
Right.
Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns is like, that's what I'm saying. Like that song is kind of like they were evolving to the next step with that song.
I agree with that totally. I agree with that. But I don't know,
And I
man.
think if they would have kept going in that direction, and kind of learning and growing from their buddies, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they might have evolved into more of a grunge sound than a glam sound.
Right.
But then again, maybe not, because Andy was pretty much 100%, flamboyant glam guy. Which that brings up another thing. The difference between Eddie and Andy is insane.
Yes.
Like you cannot find two different frontmen, I don't think.
No.
You know what I mean? And at that time, like Eddie now is way more comfortable on stage, but he's never been like flamboyant like Andy. And at that time, you're basically just standing there like afraid of the crowd. Like that had to be so nuts for Stone and Jeff.
I know, dude. We go from
But
Andy
that
to Ed.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
That's a big gear change.
But that voice, though, you know.
Am I right? Am I right? That voice, though, bro. It's true, man. I mean,
So,
because you could, yeah, it goes back to the what if. I want to stick with, before we run out of time, the differences between Eddie and Andy. But one thing I will say, though, I do think what's similar about them, it goes way, like, basic. I feel like they both, at the end of the day, did treat music like a expression, as a kind of cathartic, I don't know, healing thing for people to share in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, do both of them have a certain level of, like, selfish ego and whatever? Absolutely, right? I mean, if you get up on stage, it might not be the driving force for you, but you've got a little bit of ego to get up there and do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah.
But I think their basic reasons for sharing and creating music were very similar. I think that's the only thing that I would say is similar about them.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just
No,
present themselves in very different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally different dudes on stage, but both, I think, super serious about what they did.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they were super, like, serious on stage. Because, like, Eddie was, like, intense on stage, and Andy was like super theatrical and flamboyant, but not and silly in a way, but like, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Like he was serious about being like that fun. Like he's got a smile on his face the whole time he's doing all these moves and stuff. It's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. I agree, man. I think Eddie can be fun too, but I just feel like, and I'm not saying that you're saying he can't. I just mean
right. Well, at the time.
Right. Yeah. And he was much more shy. Because he wasn't angry Eddie yet. He was just shy Eddie at the beginning.
Yeah.
He didn't get really angry until just before verses, I feel like. But
yeah. Again, it kind of blows my mind. Like Andy and Jeff and those other dudes. What did I say? Stone and Jeff.
Yeah, Stone and Jeff. On
stage with Andy, going from that, with him for 2.5, 3 years, going from that to Eddie, like that had to just be like the craziest thing.
Yeah, Joan and Steph probably just didn't know what they were dealing with, huh? By the way, I did it on purpose. Every time every time I talk about Jeff and Stone now, it's gonna be Joan and Steph.
Joan and Steph.
I can't believe I did that earlier.
Can that be the episode title? 75.
Joan and Steph.
Joan and Steph.
They're gonna be like, oh my god, which one of these guys lost their minds? I can't wait to listen to this episode. But I do believe that they both have. They're both good with words in very different ways. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they had a lot of the same strengths. Again, it's just they presented them in very different ways, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to hear Eddie gush over Andy so much because they are so different. You would think that it wouldn't be that way, but I think that's the difference too, is that, and it goes with musicians and with listeners of music, like there's probably people that are huge Pearl Jam fans but don't really listen to that many other bands. They're just really Pearl Jam fans, which is different than being a fan of music in general, which I feel like most musicians are. But like I feel like you're like that. Like you and I have different tastes, but you give things a try and you understand how to look at it from a different perspective, even if you don't play or whatever. Whereas some people are like, or even within a genre, it's like, no, if it's not metal, fuck it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've just never ever felt that way. It's like, man, I love listening to Slayer, and then like, oh, I'm gonna listen to Joni Mitchell now.
Right? Yeah. No, I love putting like my phone or my iPod on shuffle, and some of the crazy combinations that come up, like makes me laugh. It's just what the
insane.
Fuck,
But these guys are lovers of music as well, and that's what's cool is like if you were to stereotype Eddie's type of music, you would think Mother Love Bone would fit nowhere into that. But it does, you know what I mean? Because he has a respect for music as a thing, not just his subjective tastes or whatever, I don't know. It's cool. I love hearing the times that Ed's talked about Andy.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, like that, everyone talks about like Soundgarden and Pearl Jam or, Alice in Chains being, or Nirvana, of course, like the band that changed music,
Right.
But like Mother Love Bone, like they might not be recognized like that, but I mean, Andy and Stone and Jeff, like, touched so many of these bands. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And without them, who knows if these other bands, become what they did.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's crazy. It's the butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, okay, Temple of the Dog, obviously, Say Hello to Heaven and Reach Down. Alice in Chains, the song Wood is about Andy. And I didn't know this, but Candlebox, they have a song, Far Behind, which I think is like their biggest hit.
It is.
Is about Andy. And I didn't know that until a few years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either.
Were you into Candlebox or no?
No.
Oh, man.
I thought that single was okay.
Their first album, like, I love that album. That first album.
Yeah. I think I'll be honest with you. I think if I went back, I'm not saying that I would love it now, but I think I would I would be listening with very different ears at this point in my life than when I was, what was I, like 18 or whatever when that song came out?
Yeah.
I don't even, when was that song?
Far Behind?
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be 94?
Was it that early? Man.
Yeah, because I saw them in Chicago before I moved to Florida, so it had to be 94, 95 at the latest.
I just remember that Candlebox was opening for Rush for a leg of their tour. They got booed off stage every time.
I saw them with the Flaming Lips in Chicago at the Aragon.
Oh, that's cool.
And they sucked. Sorry, Candlebox, but they were terrible. I'm pretty sure there's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought they would be like great live.
Well, I'm pretty sure the singer was drunk.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
That did not help.
Yeah, that'll do it. All right.
Because like at one point the guitar player like left the stage, and he was like talking about how he had to go take a shit.
Nice.
It was kind of a wild, one of those just wild shows.
That's
like,
crazy.
Whoa, what's going on? Yeah, it was.
Surely they've probably cleaned up a little bit by now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they are still out there. They're still making music.
Hell yeah.
They're still touring. So one bad night, I just caught them on a bad night.
Dave Person plays for them now a lot, I think.
Yeah, he does.
That's cool.
He does.
I'd love to see that, just to see him play.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I think we did it. First kind of official conversation about Mother Love Bone.
Yeah.
That was fun.
We need to do this. We need to do another episode when we can kind of listen to some of their songs.
Yeah, we could do like track by track of a few songs that we like or something.
Yeah, because like I said, I don't love all their stuff, but some of their shit is really, really good.
Agreed.
And dude, Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns, is like an amazing fucking
that's one of those things. If I had written that, I'd been like, okay, I don't have to write anything else.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, that song alone is like, okay, these guys are really good.
Yeah, in terms of legacy and songwriting,
totally.
That's up there.
Yeah,
he had to have been proud of that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Again, you can hit us up at singlepodcasttheory@gmail.com on all of the socials. Check out Patreon if you'd like to think about supporting the show. It's patreon.com, patreon.com. Brad's getting his quote ready. And I think that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for being patient with us. And we'll be back. Until then, I'm Brad Lyons.
And I'm Brad Blazek saying, if you want a plate of my beef Swellington, baby, you're going to have to pay the cover charge. Yes, indeed.
Oh, God. I'm glad you used that, but that's another phrase I never want to hear you say again.
My beef Swellington?
Yep. Oh, man. That would have been a great hip-hop lyric, though.
Man, he has some silly lyrics out there.
He's a wordsmith.
And he's real good at the, like, yes, indeed. Like, woman.
Oh, okay, I got to go. Peace. Oh, my God, you're still laughing. I love it.
Yeah.
I died and you just died and you walked by and said, no, I'm dead.
That was hot. Fuck yeah.
Hey, half-ass monkey boy, this one is going down. Write it down. Write it down. That's right. How do you do, baby? Half-ass monkey boy. Half-ass monkey boy. You stretching and dreaming. your life away from me. I'm obliged to give you my disease. I'm an abracadabra. I'll do what I please. That's right. Stone Cold Mama. She the best of them. I focus all my energy on understanding you. Such a pretty little face in your money blue. With chains with alcohol, taking care of love. Remember the key, mama. Understand my word, shake it. Stone Cold Mama. She the best of mama. Stone Cold Mama. And that's what that child said. And that's what that boy. And that's what that boy. And that's what that boy. Just hanging for the child. Bring it down. Watch that one. This ain't no cakewalk. You see, I got my men on the side, and they got my soldiers in the back, and they're taking care of you. They're taking care of business. I feel like making boom, chicka, boom, chicka. I feel like making love.